Senator Rand Paul calls out Biden's pick for Secretary of Education for his plan to let males play women's sports in the name of transgenderism. Rest of the Republicans appear to roll over on the nomination, betraying the dreams of American girls. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the 400th episode of The Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 400th episode of The Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Before we start, I want to take a quick moment to encourage everyone to download our brand new FreedomProject Media app. Please do it. It's absolutely free. This way we can send you our programming without having to funnel it through Twitter or Facebook, where they ban and demonetize us. We've been working really hard on this. We're really excited about it. We've been working on this for a while to provide this for you. Simply search Freedom Project Media on your smartphone, tablet, Apple TV, or Roku, and never miss an episode of one of our shows. Click the allow notifications so we can keep you informed on the new content. Okay, our first story takes us to Washington D.C., where Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, a medical doctor, is one of the few Republicans willing to call out Joe Biden's incoming education secretary over concerns that biological boys are now being given free rein to compete in girls' sports, as long as they claim to be transgender. Now, look, just in case you had forgotten, you can claim to be transgender all you want, but your DNA says you're a boy, that your muscle structure says you're a boy, that the body's ability to absorb oxygen into the bloodstream, which gives you a much better advantage, that's still there, because you call yourself transgender. And let me say, I'm not the least bit surprised that Democrats think this is a wonderful thing. We're going to talk about why. This whole show, today's show, is all about the unfairness of this transgender nonsense. So we're going to talk more as the show goes on. But I'll tell you right from the beginning, I'm not the least bit surprised if Democrats like this. The fact that most Republicans had nothing to say about this, the fact that most Republicans signaled absolutely no problem with this guy as Secretary of Education. Now, remember when Trump proposed Betsy DeVos? And it was like pulling teeth to get her through? Now you've got, after everything that's gone on in this country, all of the delegitimizing of the election that went on with Donald Trump, all of the hatred and invective that was thrown at Betsy DeVos for 4 years, these same Republicans now have no problem with a radical left-winger who's going to destroy women's sports. Just goes to show you, it's really not a two-party system anymore.
Well, let's take a look at the video of Senator Rand Paul actually asking the question to the nominee, Miguel Cardona, hey, do you think it's okay that boys get to compete in girls' sports?
What do you think in general about boys running in girls' track meets like they've been doing in Connecticut?
I think that it's critically important that education systems and educators respect the rights of all students, including students who are transgender, and that they are afforded the opportunities that every other student has to participate in extracurricular activities.
Does it bother you that like the top 20% of boys running in track meets beat all of the girls in the state, and that it, would be, completely destroy girls' athletics? The girls are being pushed out. If they don't make the finals in the state meet, they don't get college scholarships, that it's really detrimental to girls' sports. Do you worry about having boys running girls' track meets?
I recognize and appreciate the concerns and the frustrations that are expressed. As Commissioner of Education, have had conversations with families who have felt the way you just described it, and families of students who are transgender.
Frankly, some boy that's 6'2" competing against my 5'4" niece doesn't sound very fair. I think most people in the country think it's bizarre, that it's just completely bizarre and unfair that people, and you're going to run the Department of Education, you've got no problem with it.
When Cardona says everybody has the opportunity, that's what we care about, access. No, what you're doing is you're denying women the ability to win. You're saying this is so typical of the liberal mindset. In fact, if you want something that describes the liberal socialistic mindset versus what the rest of us think, I think this looks at it in a nutshell. Notice what the Democrats are saying, the progressives are saying. What we need is access, inclusion. Everybody gets to play the sport they want. That's where they drop it. And in their attitude, as long as you get to play, whether you're qualified or not. This is not just transgender people, right? This is if the Democrats had their way, they'd water down men's Division I football, water it down to the degree that women could play it, right, at a serious level, not just being place kickers. That's what the left thinks, right? That it's fair if everybody plays. The rest of us who recognize that competition and excellence and success and victory, these things matter. As Rand Paul said, you're going to get a scholarship if you're one of the best women runners. That's much less likely to happen if you're routinely being beaten by men pretending to be women in these cases. And that's what's happening. And now that colleges are playing the same game, you can be a transgender athlete. You can be a man who identifies as a woman, and now you'll get those scholarships at universities as well. So what the left doesn't see is what you and I see, that it's not just playing that matters. The idea that we all put on a uniform and go out there and sweat a little bit, that's not the purpose of sports. That's your purpose of sports on the left. The purpose of sports on the right, or in normal society, or going back thousands of years, has been to do your best to try to win, to succeed at the team level, at the individual level, and to try to seek the things that happen when you are successful in that way. That's what the left doesn't understand.
But I don't even think it's that anymore. I don't think they're at all just wanting to participate, because if they did just want to participate, to go out and sweat a little, they could do that. But the boys have to be on the boys' team and the girls have to be on the girls' team. And what the left has figured out, the ones with the transgender, they figured out how to win the game. All they have to do is rig the game to win the game.
Let me praise what you just said, because and just follow up on one sec. You're exactly right, and that's a really great insight that you had. Winning and losing is not supposed to matter, says the left, right? It's not supposed to matter. It's not that big of a deal. And yet, what happens when these trans boys become eligible to play women's sports? They win.
Yeah.
And that's what the left wants to see, because when when trans boys run all over girls athletes, that shows you how much it's getting attention and it's bringing excitement to the cause. See how wonderful these athletes are, these poor transgender boys who are not accepted in society. Now they have medals they can show for outrunning girls.
And the thing is that Miguel Cardona even said, I've heard from parents who've been affected and agree with Rand Paul. I want to know the number difference,
right?
Because then he followed it up by saying, oh, and I've heard from some transgender parents. Well, okay, what's the ratio of half the population to the few transgender kids? Why is it? Obviously, he's a politician. He's doing political speak. I get what the whole thing.
He's just
all scripted. I get it.
Exactly. He's being disingenuous to get elected.
Of course, but the simple fact that he actually put that claim out there, being like, well, I have spoken with, some parents and families who feel like you do, Dr. Paul. The one thing we didn't show in this is at one point towards the end, I know that Rand Paul had said the term like, this is bizarre, but he also asked, what planet are you from?
That's exactly right. And a little bit further on this, the easy solution to this, we keep hearing from the left how so many kids are transgender, right? Now, this is probably 25-30% of the population, at least. This is huge, right? We've got to change everything because there's so many transgender kids that if we just taught them what transgender is, they would immediately accept it. Okay, fine. There are so many of them. The solution to this is create transgender leagues.
Boom.
Go ahead and do it. And you know why they won't do it? Is because they know they won't be able to brag about how well the transgender athletes are doing. No one would watch the sports. Very, very, very few people would participate in the sports. All right, and then you'd have transgenders beating other transgenders. It would not be news anymore.
But what sports could they even field teams for? It'd have to probably be individual track meets.
No, there's so many, Katie.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The only reason that we don't have hundreds of millions of transgenders in America is because we're ruthlessly suppressing them. If you create a transgender league, let them come. If you build it, they will come, right?
Well, basically agreeing with what Miguel wants and what Joe Biden wants is Mark Zuckerberg, who, by way of not allowing free speech, is going along with this transgender nonsense. And now, basically, if you agree with what Biden's new transgender policy is, it's incitement. Incitement is the term of the day. So Mark Zuckerberg, he's the gatekeeper, basically, for free speech. We've all, at this point, dealt with it. And so basically, what happened, the situation, is we have a man named Robert A.J. Gagnon, He's a Christian scholar on Bible sexuality, and he's a professor of the New Testament theology at Houston Baptist University. And he recently got, slap on the wrist and suspended from Facebook because he critiqued the Biden policy. And so Facebook virtually slapped him and claimed that he violated the platform's community standards on violence and incitement. Incitement.
And before we move further, I think it's really important, Katie, that you explain what incitement means. Because that's a big deal. What incitement means here is insurrection, right?
We've heard that term lately.
Yes. Incitement is inciting people to violence. So to express a view that challenges the transgender narrative, you are engaging in serious violence. Like, real quick. Go ahead.
And it's unlawful.
Unlawful. Show the
somehow this free speech
quote.
Is
we haven't seen that first.
Lawful.
Here's what Biden said. Let's be clear in the most opaque, vague possible way. Transgender equality is the civil rights issue of our time.
Every issue is of our time.
There is no room for, this is so Joe Biden, there is no room for compromise when it comes to basic human rights. And that's why you'll never see a transgender league. Give them their own league. That's a compromise. No. Boys who think boys who think they are girls will play girl sports and win.
Grr. All right. Well, back to this specific story. So basically what happened is Gagnon had a friend named Lori Higgins who had gotten a 7-day suspension for initially posting about the policy. So basically he's like, hey, I'm going to support my friend Lori, who got suspended for a whole week from the Facebook. And then so his tweet actually says, my friend Lori Higgins has been suspended for 7 days for making an accurate and witty satirical post by left-wing Facebook overlords who seek to squash all dissent on the issue of transgenderism, no doubt emboldened by the Biden-Harris administration. There's nothing inaccurate about this post. You can see on the screen there what it is that was included. Biden's lifting of Trump's transgender military ban will indeed put women military personnel in the awful position of having to shower with biological males. Fact check true. That's what will happen. Then number 2, trans promoters aren't content with having men invade the domain of women's sports and shelters. We've talked about all of these things. Number 3, transgender ideology is indeed a pseudoscience, compelling people to reject basic biological facts. And number 4, promoters of transgenderism do indeed exhibit traits of a religious cult in their mind-numbing, science-denying conformity. The censoring and suspending of Lori Higgins rather proves the point, doesn't it? And he got slapped for virtual slap. Psh. Just in, transparency, we here at Freedom Project have been virtually slapped too. A story that Dr. Duke did with our very own Alex Newman about California, teaching how many genders to the 15, 25, 92, 15 different genders to little kindergartners out in California, and slap.
You called Zuckerberg the gatekeeper of free speech, and the better way of phrasing it is the Grand Inquisitor General of the new anti-speech movement, right?
That sounds too fancy for him. He doesn't deserve that.
You say something that offends Zuck the cuck, and it's going to be over for you, right?
My Facebook name is Katie Petrick. If you'd like to cancel me or follow me, either way.
I like that, Zuck the cuck.
Speaking of cucks, we have a ACLU attorney who looks like he's about 12 years old, but apparently he's an ACLU attorney who decided to take to Twitter and have a whole tweet storm all about, white supremacy and cisgender sports and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we'll get to it because there he is. Just Chase. Strangio. He basically said that cis people, specifically women, who are women, have no threat against them with trans people, so men, entering their sports. And also, you know what? Why are we even talking about this? Because gender's not easily identifiable at birth. So I don't know what the argument is.
But what's his argument? There is none. Why? Why not?
Here you go.
Let's hear what Kitten Boy has to say.
Here's the tweet storm. A few notes on women and girls who are trans in sports. There is a relentless effort to situation trans people as a threat to cis people in sport and elsewhere. There simply is no threat.
Wait a second. You're not a woman, Chase. You don't even play one on TV, as far as I can tell. So what gives you the right to speak for women? You, sir, are a bigot, aren't you? Are you not silencing women's voices with your own? Continue.
Wait, go back to his profile. I didn't know. What are his pronouns? Oh, okay, it is.
He is right.
Or they, them.
That's all right.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I see no feminine pronouns, right?
I just want to
so
be
he is not a woman.
Here.
Apparently, he is closer to being a cat.
They, them.
Apparently, he's closer to being a pussy than he is to being a woman.
All right, tweet number 2. The foundation of these arguments are based on 2 dangerous and faulty premises. First, that men and boys are always better, stronger, faster, and more skilled than women and girls.
Well, they almost always are.
Well, he says always. It depends. I see what he's doing. He's trying. Okay,
I know what
he's
the fact that Venus Williams would destroy me in a tennis match,
and Serena,
would destroy me in a tennis match,
and pretty much anyone else.
All right.
I would destroy him in a tennis match.
The fact that any professional women's tennis player would beat me in tennis, a sport I've never played in my life, does not say anything. Listen to Serena Williams herself, who once said that she realizes that every single male professional tennis player would destroy her in a one-on-one match. She said it. Her words. That's what we're talking about here. If you're taking fully acknowledged boys, biological boys, with stronger thighs, stronger legs, stronger capacities, lung capacities, more advanced musculature, you're doing that and you're putting them up against girls, they are going to win every time. And the fact that you, Mr. What's Cat's boy's name?
Chase.
Chase the cat. All right, Chase the cat. Just because you can find an example that would disprove what I'm saying doesn't change the fact, right? It is the example that demonstrates the legitimacy of what we're saying here. Yeah, of course, there are exceptions to everything, but the exceptions are so rare that you know that. And you're an ACLU lawyer. When did the ACLU
long time ago
stop caring about the Constitution?
Long time ago. Now, the second point of Chase's second tweet, we have to say is that sex categories are binary, fixed, and easily identifiable at birth. Now that he says is dangerous to know that they are. Yes.
There's never been a situation in all of human history where somebody looked at a naked newborn baby boy and a naked newborn baby girl and said, "Uh-oh, I'm confused." It never happened.
But he continues, both of these premises are rooted in misogyny and white supremacy. Well, of course they are. They're always rooted.
Question.
Answer.
What does misogyny mean?
We don't know anymore.
It means the hatred of women, right? Who in this scenario is telling women to get over it and shower with penises? Who's telling women to get over penises in your shower? Who's telling the 12-year-old girl to have a 15-year-old naked boy in the shower with you is perfectly... Who's the misogynist here?
There we go. The interest behind these narratives is not in, quote, protecting women, but rather protecting the power of the state to control people's bodies and constrain people's identities.
Wait.
So now we're against?
Who's trying to control women's bodies, people's bodies right now? Who's doing that? Chase Strangio.
And women and girls who are trans have been competing in women's sports at every level of competition all over the world for decades. Oh, it has. Okay. There is simply no dominance of trans women athletes because the myth of biological superiority is just that, a myth. Go to Connecticut. Go to Connecticut right now.
Just look around. Chase, get outside of your mom's basement. Excuse me, your trans mom's basement. Get out of there, put the kitty cat away, and go look what's happening in real time. Just take a look at what's happening when boys are running and swimming and weightlifting against girls. You go take a look at what happened. Bicycling, take a look. Chase, and get back to us.
This is the one I actually really enjoy. He says, our bodies are extremely varied, and experience shows that precious few trans people participate in sports at all, and those who do have a range of abilities, just like cis people.
Don't you think those trans kids that you say are everywhere, wouldn't they be more comfortable competing against other trans kids? Wouldn't they? Well, you would think so, unless the premise here is we have to destroy womanhood, basically.
All right, to help celebrate our 400th show, we thought it was a perfect time to debut our brand new Heroes of the West series featuring our first episode with the one and only The Bard, also known as the great William Shakespeare. Let's take a look.
If someone asked you to combine literary, dramatic, and poetic achievement into the person of just one artist, that figure would surely be William Shakespeare. The influence of this mysterious playwright, poet, and expert student of human nature is quite unique in the history of human experience. Born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England, Shakespeare had a good grammar school education that gave him the tools he needed to write his plays, including command of the English and Latin languages, and a familiarity with the great classical and Christian authors of history. In 1582, 18-year-old Shakespeare married 26-year-old Anne Hathaway. The couple had 3 children, Susanna in 1583, and twins Hamnet and Judith in 1585. 11-year-old Hamnet died of plague in 1596 and was buried in Stratford. By 1592, Shakespeare had made a name for himself on the London stage. His career as a writer, poet, and entrepreneur exploded. In the England of Queen Elizabeth I, the Elizabethan age, writing successful plays did not necessarily make an author rich or famous, and many plays were never published by Elizabethan playwrights themselves. Rather, plays made money based on the sales of tickets, and Shakespeare wisely became a shareholder in the Globe Theatre, which meant he made a percentage of every ticket sold. By 1594, Shakespeare's company of actors was sponsored by the powerful Lord Chamberlain, which guaranteed the actors security and protection. After the death of Queen Elizabeth in 1603, King James I of Scotland became King of England and took Shakespeare's acting company under his personal protection, naming them the King's Men. The plays he wrote in the early 17th century, including Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, The Winter's Tale, and The Tempest, earned him lasting fame and offered profound insights into human nature while showcasing his evolving genius as a poet. Somewhere around 1611, Shakespeare said his goodbyes to London, moving back home to Stratford. Despite his retired status, he collaborated on a few other plays before becoming ill with an unknown sickness in 1616. After writing his last will and testament in a very shaky hand, William Shakespeare died on or about his birthday, 23rd April, 1616. Shakespeare's impact on the English language was unforgettable. His achievement as a poet, immortal, and his work as a playwright, unparalleled. Today, English speakers across the globe repeat every day in casual conversation many of the words and phrases he invented, often without even realizing their origin. The very name Shakespeare has become a synonym for literary genius. If you have ever been told that love is blind, or you've found yourself in a pickle, then you are speaking Shakespeare. If you've been on a wild goose chase or been attacked by the green-eyed monster, or are as pure as the driven snow, you are speaking Shakespeare. Or if you've seen better days, or bidden someone good riddance, or felt the need to be cruel to be kind, or possessed a heart of gold, or tried to break the ice, or killed with kindness, or had too much of a good thing, then you are speaking Shakespeare. And if you find Shakespeare's language too difficult and simply walk away because it's all Greek to you, then you're speaking Shakespeare too. In fact, Shakespeare has been credited with inventing more than 1,700 common words, which adds up to more than 20,000 when parts of speech are compounded. But of all the words used or created by Shakespeare, none appears more than love. More than 2,200 times, Shakespeare invoked the word love. Today, Shakespeare is the best-selling fiction author of all time, with an estimated 4 billion copies sold. Hollywood has filmed his plays more than 500 times. Hamlet alone has been adapted for the big screen 79 times, and the famous To Be or Not to Be soliloquy translated into more than 75 languages. At his death in 1616, he left behind 38 plays, from comedies to tragedies to histories to romances, in addition to 4 poems and 154 sonnets. As his famous contemporary, the playwright Ben Jonson, wrote in a poem of praise, Shakespeare was not of an age, but for all time.
All right, now it's important to mention that these kinds of videos that we have, all the videos, take a lot of time. Trust me, I'm a part of it. It takes a lot of time, and it wouldn't be possible without the generous support from our Patriot Club members. So thank you all for allowing us to kick off our Heroes of the West series with the Bard, William Shakespeare. Just a reminder that our Shakespeare video is available for you to watch exclusively on the brand new Freedom Project Media app. Plus, you're going to be able to watch our other animations, our weekly shows, our in-depth interviews, our lectures, and so much more. All you have to do is download the Freedom Project app on your smartphone, your tablet, Apple TV, or Roku, and make sure you're allowing for notifications. Now, as we do from time to time, we want to give some love to our Patriot Club members because, again, we just got done saying, it's you who keep us going. So today we're going to give a shout out to Kathy from Siren, Wisconsin. Thank you, Kathy, for supporting us. And if you're a fan of the show, please consider a one-time tax-deductible donation to support the Patriot Club, and we're going to send you an awesome signature tumbler. Plus, remember, you're going to get all the other benefits handed to you when you download that app, and you can be sipping on whatever beverage you like through that tumbler. All you have to do to sign up is visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us.
I didn't know there was a Siren, Wisconsin. Next time I drive that way, I'll have somebody lash me to the bumper of my car so I can listen to the beautiful music without wrecking. And that's our show for Freedom Project. Today, I am Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.